Well, I guess it's time to go. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Formula America podcast. We're your hosts, Kurt and Dylan, and we've got a little bit of Formula One news that has come up over the past week or so. Not much, but you could feel it bubbling. The Formula One world is getting ready. We're only, I think, as of recording, a day away from testing?
Tomorrow.
Oh, my God. I'm so excited. But that being said, there has been a few things that popped off this past week that we think's pretty interesting that we want to talk about. We got one, Max Verstappen, first off, is not happy with the Formula 175 event that took place last week. So much so that he said he is not going to attend if they do it again in England because of the amount of booze that Red Bull got. That's a tough one to say.
Apparently.
Yeah, man, that one was pretty bad.
Shit booed out of him.
You know what? I was watching that back, the part where they unveiled the car and they rolled it out and they had that big dance party going on behind him. The guy that like touched him on the shoulder right at the end, Max turned around and just had this look on his face like, do not touch me. But, and you could tell because he doesn't like doing all that stuff anyways. Yeah. He already said he didn't want to attend that event. But when he's just getting booed by that entire arena, it's just like, I don't blame the guy, man. I wouldn't want to be part of that.
I don't blame him. At the same time, I don't think that's your choice if you're Max. This is a F1 sanctioned event that all teams will be at. All teams must reveal their liveries. The drivers are present. I don't think you get to say, I'm not going next year. I get it. And that's not fun. And I'm sure Red Bull can petition to move it to neutral territory or something else. But I don't think Max gets to have the power to say that he's just not going.
Yeah. And the two things on that. First off, with the new regulations that came out with swearing that the FIA put out, one of the points was that you have to comply with all like rules or whatever put on by the FIA. I'm paraphrasing. It's obviously worded differently than that. But so I think part of that would be like, hey, we say you have to be at this event and you're not going to be there. Okay, well, it starts with a $40,000 fine and then it just goes up exponentially from there to the point where they could be like, we're taking championship points because you don't want to attend this event.
Yeah,
is ridiculous. But also Red Bull is a British team. And so the fact that they are getting booed.
I mean, and those boos might have been at Christian Horner, who's British. So, you know, he's not exactly the favored. But I mean, how many? We got like 12 freaking British drivers on the track right now?
It's like the British takeover. It's like the Beatles are coming back.
It's definitely maybe move it to neutral territory, although it is where most of the teams are. I don't know. He got the crap booed out of him. I don't blame him for not being overly happy about standing on stage somewhere you don't want to be being booed at. But I also don't think your daddy gets to go, we're not going next year. Yes, you are. Yeah.
You know, it almost reminds me of that scene from Miami. Was it 2 years ago when Max was on the grid and everybody's behind him just like screaming F you and flicking him off? It was actually really kind of just an ugly scene all around. It did not make the Americans look very well.
No.
Or look very good. But also as a Florida native and somebody who was born in Miami, that's Miami for you.
Yeah. I don't know. I think what's interesting to kind of flip the script is if the FIA is going to put these, you know, pretty archaic penalties in place for making the sport look bad, I'm pretty sure the O2 made everything look pretty bad right there with doing that amount of unsportsmanlike contact. But there's no comments on that.
Hey, man, there was no punches pulled for the FIA either. All they had to do is put the logo up on the screen and the entire place erupted.
Yes. So to the point where Ben Suleimani is now talking about we need some V10s back in the car, which I am here for.
I'm here for it too. Yeah, he's trying to get some positive PR right there.
I don't think it's helping him, but I'm here for it.
He's like, look, guys, I'm not all bad. I'm going to give you V10s back.
I'll talk about it at least.
Yeah.
You know?
You know what? I really want to do that. I've never got to hear one of those in person. But I could just imagine, like I've seen just the way Lewis was reacting that one day when he was doing the interview and Fernando Alonso was driving around.
R25.
Could you imagine lap one when you've got freaking 20 cars all just roaring towards turn one, all those V10s just screaming?
So you know how far Coda is from downtown Austin, right?
Yep.
It's a hike. It's probably 10, 15, 20 miles past downtown Austin. When the V8s were still in the car, you could hear them in Austin.
Jeez. That's got to be wild.
Wild. So, yeah, I don't. that was not super cool for Max to be booed that hard, but I also disagree with being able to say that I'm not going next year. Yes, you are.
Yeah. If anything, it's just going to make him race even harder.
Yeah, which I'm here for it.
Yeah, right. He's going to need it probably the way that car is looking, which we'll find out in a couple days, hopefully.
Tomorrow,
yeah. I think they have released the schedule and you could see the breakdown of who's driving when.
Yep.
I can't remember when he was scheduled to drive.
Day.
Oh, it is first day?
Yep.
Awesome.
So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, on that, I know we weren't planning on talking about it, but we're going to get to see Lewis Hamilton driving the SF25. And I always think back to they were interviewing, I want to say it was Jenson Button. And they were talking about Lewis and Fernando Alonso and doing practice laps, whether they sandbag, like, do they play games out there? And I believe his Button said, Lewis Hamilton does not do that. How he drives at his utmost at all times. They may throttle the engine back, they might do some things, but Lewis doesn't sandbag. He gives it his all, always. He's like, Fernando Alonso, on the other hand, is a sandbagging, game playing chess master out there. But I've always thought about that, especially when we're going into something like tomorrow. We're going to get to see Lewis Hamilton in the SF25 doing practice laps. And is he going to be the faithful Lewis Hamilton that gives it his all, that is going around that track with everything he's got, trying to learn that car?
I kind of think he has to, man.
I do too.
He's been driving older versions of the Ferrari cars. So this is going to be kind of really his first real laps in this SF25.
He made it done one or two for promo, but this is going to be the first real.
Exactly. So he kind of has to get out. He has limited time. He's got to get out there and get on top of this car as best he can so that he's ready once lights go out in Australia.
Yep. So I'm looking forward to that. We're going to get to see Liam Lawson in the RB21, which should be interesting.
Yeah, he's got a daunting challenge ahead of him for sure. See if he can wrestle that car around.
He seems to have the personality for it, though. I loved last year. He was fighting. He wasn't taking anything off nobody. Even if he was flipping some people the bird in the car, was probably not the best move. But he seems to not. He doesn't have that appeasing personality. He seems to want to win.
Have you seen the videos recently of him playing guitar?
Yes.
So playing guitar and singing. So now we've got him with the guitar and singing. We've got Charles Leclerc on the piano. We've got Lewis that just does what Lewis does.
Yep.
It's like pretty soon we're going to have a Formula One boy band.
That'd be pretty good. Yeah.
Just imagine Alex Albon and Esteban
They'd be
Ocon
really
in the background dancing.
I'm trying to figure out where Max would be in the boy band.
Oh, Jesus. Max is the DJ. And him and Lando just back there.
Yeah. Max and Alonso DJing.
Dude, yeah, but on Alonso, man, that guy, he is so cunning. He's probably one of the more exciting guys to watch drive. And because there's so much strategy that goes along with his driving. And
he's such a chess master.
It is like, and I hark back to, I think it was Zandvoort that one year where he was like, going up high, like whatever that one really big bank turn is, like he was hitting it at different angles just to throw off. I think it was when he was fighting with Checo at one, maybe in Brazil. He was taking that different line. He was going deep in the corner, but he could accelerate out faster. Yeah. It was so good. It shows what happens when you've been doing something for the last 55 years.
Pretty close in that. So testing tomorrow. We got Max. What else were we going to talk about today? We've got no more fastest lap points.
No more. You're right. No more fastest lap points, which I've never been a fan of the fastest lap.
No.
The point. It's just in the way that it stopped at, 10. At P10. And so like we saw, and what they say is kind of what sparked all this was last year with Danny Ricciardo when it was in Singapore, his final race, when he was in last place and then took the fastest lap from Lando.
Yep.
And so it's like, should somebody that's in 10th place that has all the ability in the world in last place and has all the time in the world to stop and throw on a fresh set of softs? I didn't really see that as being fair. And so just get rid of the whole system.
That and like the other thing they kind of talked about was if there's a big enough gap between cars, diving in on the second to last lap, throwing a fresh set of softs in, kind of adds to a little bit of chaos, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but also Like, is it really necessary? I don't know. I'm kind of neutral on this one. I can see why they're getting rid of it. At the same time, I don't care if it is gone or not. So
Yeah. To me, it just seemed kind of gimmicky.
yeah.
Like maybe, I don't know, a monetary bonus. I don't know. I don't think that really matters, but I'm all right with them getting rid of that point.
Well, and the fastest lap compared to quali is still nothing. Like,
oh yeah,
it's not really setting any land speed records or breaking anything. So I'm kind of whatever on that one. I don't mind it being gone. I hope they still kind of track it. Hopefully they still put that little purple clock up there and say, hey, this guy's got the fastest current lap. It's always fun when you've got like a 3-way shootout and they're running across the start finish line. It's like fastest lap.
Yep.
Or someone just put on new softs and they're in like 5th place and all of a sudden fastest lap. And you're like, oh
yeah, he's coming. My favorite was always when you'd have like Max on like 20 lap old medium tires and he's still putting in fastest laps one after another.
So I hope they still track the fastest lap. I hope they show it. I just don't care if there'd be a point associated with it.
Yeah, exactly. And also what we just had released was that Monaco is going to be getting some new regulations regarding the pit stops, which haven't fully been formed yet.
Yeah.
But they did say they are going to make a mandatory pit stop number in Monaco, more than one, obviously. And the consensus is that it's going to be, you have to use all 3 compounds of tire. So that'll be a minimum of 2 stops, which I think is good.
I mean, it can't get any more boring.
Yeah. You know what? I'm actually kind of a fan for the 2 pit stops at every track, but I think out of all the tracks, Monaco definitely needs something to make the excitement, build a little bit, to make it add more jeopardy to the race.
Yeah, because like last year, I mean, we were all so excited for Charles Leclerc to win that race, but that was one of the most boring races in the history of Formula 1.
Yeah.
Like,
unless you're Charles Leclerc just clenching your cheeks the entire time, hoping you don't put it into a wall.
But it's so funny. Like, I want maybe to like, before you make a hard and fast and now, when it rains in Monaco during the race, what an awesome race.
Oh, yeah.
When you have Checo Perez between, who is it? K-Mag. Hulkenberg, like putting it into the wall and making your car evaporate. Like, it has moments. It has the ability to be good. I dislike regulations that directly affect things like that. I always loved, it's been years now, when quali and Q2, those are the tires that set your starting tires for the race. Like, I loved that amount of strategy where it's like an indirect effect on the race, but you have to think about it. Like, just making 2 pit stops seems simple. Seems like I liked when it has a more strategic effect. I would love us to bring back the Q2 sets your tires. I thought that was such a cool thing.
That was pretty cool. I think the only other thing they could really do is just set up sprinklers on certain turns at Monaco. So just go through a wet patch here and there, but make it random so they come on at different times.
Surprise!
Gotcha.
So you got to do something for Monaco. That race, it can be awful.
Yeah, everybody's talked about it. You look at the size comparison of the cars nowadays compared to what they used to be back when the racing there was fine. Yeah. The cars now are just so big. It's like a bunch of F-150s trying to drive around the streets there.
Yeah. They're probably about that size. So yeah, I'm here for making some changes. I don't know that mandatory pit stops will at least change up the strategy some. I don't know. Do something.
Hey. Well, I'm down for giving it a shot and trying it and seeing if it helps spice it up a bit, which I'm sure it will. So
yeah, I concur.
We do have that. Other than that, what do we got going on this week? I think that was
testing tomorrow. Testing.
Finally get to see some cars on track. We're already starting to see some of the drivers arrive there. So that's cool. It's an exciting time, man. It's that build up right before the season starts, that calm before the storm. It's just giddy.
And testing's so hard because we read into it so much, but there's too many variables to actually read into it.
Oh, Sam Collins is about to go into overtime right now.
I'm so here for Sam Collins' technical reviews. I love it. I nerd out on this so hard that our next meeting, you're going to have to be like, take it down a notch.
It's like talking about the drag coefficients and the way the air flows in the side pods, but goes out of the vents in the back. I'm just looking at him like, hey, that car looks pretty.
Ferrari was running asymmetrical vent on the back last time, playing with that. I love Sam Collins's. I'm not generally a giant. Is Will Buxton going to be at F1 TV this year?
Will Buxton is switched over to IndyCar this year.
Oh, rip. Anyway.
I know you didn't like Will Buxton.
Can we get Brundle, Crofty, and Sam Collins and Jensen Button together? I'm so cool with that.
You're not a fan of the Will Buxton and Danica Patrick combo?
Okay. Danica Patrick was awful. Even Jensen Button was struggling. You can tell in that conversation.
That one race, she's like, and they're coming up to the first turn, and it's a fast turn. Then Karun had to jump in.
Yeah, F1 TV, not my favorite commentators, but I do love Sam Collins. I love, what is her name? It starts with a B, the strategist.
Ruth Buscombe.
I like Ruth Buscombe.
Bernie Collins.
Bernie.
Yeah, but they do have some good ones.
But Will, and it's just not my.
I really like DC. He's probably one of my favorites because just his one-liners and his F1 insider information is always good.
Yeah, he's got great comedy. I tend to go for Crofty and Brundle just in general, but I don't mind it when DC's there. DC
came out recently. There was an interview with him I was reading where he was saying that he was basically putting a plea out, not a plea, but some advice out to Danny Ricciardo, saying that don't step away for too long. Like the sport moves fast, and like he's a big personality, and the sport really needs him. Like it doesn't have to come back as a racer, but at least like come back every now and then and just be in the paddock or do interviews or professional TV stuff. But he was saying like, don't step away for too long because the sport will bypass you. But I don't know. I'm interested to see. I'm sure he'll be doing something at some point, at least.
I'm sure he will. My question is with how it went out with the Red Bull family, Danny comes to the paddock. What garage does he go to?
Oh my God.
I don't know that I'm going to Red Bull's garage. I might stop in and say hi, but I don't know if I'm hanging out there.
Yeah. What do you hang out at McLaren? I mean, that ended kind of the same way. You kind of quit on Alpine or Renault at the time.
Yeah, they were not a fan of him.
I don't. You're right.
Neutral territory.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe that has a lot to do with it.
I don't know where he would go, but I would love to see. I think all of us would love to have Danny still in the sport. He is too big of a personality now.
All right, so we kind of mentioned this before the podcast, and we weren't going to talk about it, so we don't have to dive into it. But I do have a place I think he should go. I don't think it'll happen, but I think he should go to Cadillac. I would love to see that. I think logically they're probably looking at. I'm sure they're looking at both him and Checo, but I'm sure I don't think he really wants it. But I would love to see him there.
I agree. I think it'd be really fun. I think it'd be great PR for Cadillac. It'd be a smart business move. But unpopular opinion here, I don't know that he's the talent that you want.
No. Probably, honestly, look, I'm a huge Ricciardo fan.
I am too.
I think it has passed him by. I think with a lot of other drivers, he was really good in a certain generation of car, and he just hasn't been able to get behind these new ones. But also, I think as far as his leadership and the experience that he brings, he still has benefit there. But I don't know if it's going to translate to direct performance on his side of the garage on the track.
Right. So maybe come back not as a driver. If Caddy needs to figure out just picking Danny up for something. Come be PR for Caddy.
Yeah, he could be like their mascot.
Yeah, bring your handlebar mustache and come hang out.
We'll get you a horse for Coda. You can do whatever you want to do.
You can ride in the back of the Cadillac with Matthew McConaughey and
Shaquille O'Neal
and Dakota. But I think that'd be a good move. I don't know that I'd put him in a seat, just honestly.
Yeah.
On that note,
I think we've digressed enough.
I think so.
Beyond that,
way to leave it on a sad one, talking bad about Danny.
It's just being realistic. But anyways, like you said, we have practice starting tomorrow. We're going to get to see I think we have 3 days of practice. We're going to get to see everybody on track. Then after that, we're rolling into when's the first race? Like
Australia.
2 weeks from now?
Yep. I think it's 2 weeks.
Coming up real soon.
March 14th through the 16th.
Man.
Australian, wait for it. The Formula One Louis Vuitton Australian Grand Prix 2025.
I forgot we got all these new sponsors. We got Louis Vuitton, so we're going to have Moet instead of the Ferrari champagne.
We now have a tag viewer instead of a Rolex on the clock.
It's a lot going on there. All right, so how about this? Let's leave it on this. Do you think Danny will be in Australia at the race?
Hell yeah.
I think he will be. I think it's been long enough. I think he'll be there.
He can do it. But what garage becomes the question? Maybe we can take bets on that.
We can. I bet it's going to be on DraftKings.
It's probably going to be on DraftKings. How long is the longest F1 name this season going to be? We're going to have it's going to be one of the Italian races where it's going to be like the Formula One, Emirates Air, Louis Vuitton, Rolex,
Gran Premio,
Enzo Dino de Ferrari Gran Premio at Imola. It's going to be something ridiculous.
Then we got the Visa Cash App Racing Bulls.
Yeah. So,
all right. Well, anyways, I think that's going to be enough for this one. So, do you have anything else, my friend?
I got lots of stuff, but we got testing tomorrow, and it's going to be on my TV all day, and I'm going to be nerding out.
All right. Well, we'll be back next week to discuss the testing. If you like this podcast, make sure you leave us a rating, leave us a review, and share with a friend. Follow us on Instagram, Formula_America. Also, Formula America on YouTube. But other than that,
beautiful faces, receding hairlines, great facial hair.
Speak for yourself.
Well, you got the hair on top of the head. I've got
a glorious beard. All right, guys. Well, on that note,
stay classy, America.
We'll see you next time.